Alright. That's that there. That looks good. Everything seems stable. And welcome, everybody. Hi.
Hello.
It's Discussing Tabletop time. I'm joined this week by Momo.
Hi.
My directions are correct this time. I keep forgetting when I capture from Discord, it makes my directions the way I want them to, when I rather just capture the video. I don't know. I guess I get... One of them is a little bit weird than yours. Whatever. I'm confused. It's okay. We're talking to things today. I've got some topics to speak of. Oh boy. You know, one of these weeks I would like something to happen that we don't have to bring in some kind of controversy or issue brought about by Wizards of the Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, give me a couple of weeks in between it, Wizards, maybe, just to refresh my palate with something. But, alright. I guess let's just peel off the bandage of honestly bringing about the worst of humanity. I don't know if on purpose or what they're thinking, but so there's a controversy. Let's start with that. Is it an actual controversy? I'm going to say no. But it exists as one in between internet fandom, and it's got the discussion talking, so I've got to bring it up, which is one of those unfortunate things. And that is, Wizards went in and has changed a lot of things like skin color or apparent ethnicity for characters for their Lord of the Rings set.
Ah. Right.
Alright.
I remember this. Yeah, I did see this.
Yeah. So here's some things I'm going to say about this. I don't fucking care. They can change whatever they want, really, in the end.
So, I want to mention something. Specifically, people are mad about the Aragon card.
Yeah.
If you have ever looked at any depiction of Aragon, none of them match the book.
Mm-hmm.
In both of the animated movies, he is a dark-skinned man. In the Peter Jackson movies, he has a beard. What he is can't grow facial hair because they're partially elven. So who cares? Tolkien, it's a book that's like almost 100 years old.
Here's my one thing I have to say on the argument, and that is I'm going to bring in some realism to it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Tolkien made a very European-centric world.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I can understand that if you're going strictly by the way that that world is displayed, it doesn't make a lot of sense for massively changes in skin coloration. Certainly more Mediterranean people have a darker skin color. You know, it's one of those things. But you don't get very darker, really dark skin, like Middle Eastern or even African.
Yeah.
You could just make the world feel more global in your imagery. Did they do that? I don't think they did, which is one of those issues. Is
I also want to state that in the book, the description of Aragon changes constantly.
Yeah.
He is sometimes described as pale, other times swarthy, which is darker skin.
Yeah.
Tolkien was not consistent in what any of these characters looked like.
I'll throw the cards image gallery for anybody to look at.
Well, I think the card looks great, by the way. I love the art.
I mean, the art is really fine. I think the one complaint that I think someone said that I do tend to agree with a little bit is it's the unfortunate thing that they, overall, I don't know if they have a generalized art style, which I don't know if is very much more beyond average Magic the Gathering fantasy. It's not that it's bad art. I'm going to say that. They've got a lot of really great, interesting art. It's just that, like, I feel like someone said like they wanted a little bit more art direction that made it felt a little bit more like the world of what people described in the books, you know, and stuff like that. I'm not as familiar with that to know that, but I can understand that sentiment that like you're like, I don't care about any kind of changes to ethnicity or something like that. I just want the art to pop and not only that, feel more like Lord of the Rings sometimes, where it's like someone like pointed out, I really like this art piece, but I could see this like one of the pictures. I think it was the Aragon wedding one.
The wedding one is Yeah,
It looks really nice, but well, they said, like, it's really cool looking, but I feel like this could be in any kind of fantasy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's kind of an issue.
One of the issues I have personally, and this is because I'm a dork,
Mm-hmm.
the depiction of Andoril on the cards. That's not Andoril, that's just a different sword, because Andoril is just a generic great sword. Whereas the one on the cards is a much more flashier, elegant design that wouldn't work as a sword.
Ah. And again, this can go a little bit to art, also.
Yeah.
You know,
everyone's interpretation. If you just read the book, the characters are going to look different to everyone. That's your brain fills in a lot that isn't there. That's how books work. I personally have never imagined Aragon to look like Vigo from the Peter Jackson movies, but to some people that's the only version they see. To me, I've always imagined someone with tan skin because they're out in the wilderness all the time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They have darker skin. So I have no issue with any of these depictions because, again, it's up. Every depiction is up entirely to interpretation.
Yeah, and my point earlier was just more as a, ethnic, what makes sense in an actual globe kind of standard. Like, if you just include it and it's like the only thing there, it feels very token too. I want it to not feel like you're tokenly like I'm making the global super friends. Make it feel natural and make it feel like a world if you're depicting it in that art style, and then it works better. And I don't know how much they've gone into. Like, I'd have to really see this, but I just look and it looks fine art, but it's just I don't know.
It's a Magic set. People are gonna be upset for literally no reason.
Yeah, it's true.
One of the problems with Lord of the Rings specifically is, and this is not me projecting anything, Lord of the Rings has a problem with its fan base where a lot of it has a white supremacist problem in its fan base because of how the story itself is presented as European mythology, which tends to have that unfortunate following. So no matter what they were going to do, this was going to be an issue with a vocal minority of people. It never fails. Anytime a Lord of the Rings product comes out, this always happens. It's just, unfortunately, the fandom has some really bad people in it.
Okay, Lightning, what I mean by the Super Friends is the idea that I'm not against inclusivity if it makes sense in the story and you're not just shoehorning it in. If you're shoehorning it in, it just seems weird, and it stands out worse than it would be. Make it feel natural to a story, and then it's really cool, and you actually are including it. That's my kind of thing. Make it feel part of the story, please! Just do that, and it's fine! I don't know. Whatever. I could even see it because Rohan is from a much more
Rohan is the steppes, basically.
Yeah, so I could see them being a darker skinned people anyway, right there and there. So
and there are just dark skinned people in Lord of the Rings. The men of the East, I think, who are supposed to be Turkish, basically.
Oh, okay. So there are things you can do that you can expand their world and stuff. I don't know if there's consistency also. I don't want to break it down into this. I just want to say, please stop complaining about this shit and just live with it.
The book is very inconsistent with how these characters look. I mean, the Legolas card.
Welcome,
He's an elf. That's kind of all that matters. Legolas has never had his hair described in the book, I believe. So he can have whatever hair color he wants. right? Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
These are not real people.
I thought it would have been cooler, like, if you go, like very grassy elf, it'd be like, oh, it's got, like, green hair or something. That'd be cool. Do something like that. You know, like, go wild, please, you know.
Every depiction of these characters throughout history of since the books existed have been wildly different. Because, again, you fill in what isn't there.
Yeah.
You project what you think and what you want to see on characters, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's just how your brain works.
Makes sense. Anyway, look, you know, it's a thing that I would say, for those of you out there, if you're interested in the set, I have talked about this a little bit before, be interested in it. You know, it's the same kind of thing. I haven't dived deep into it. I might take a look at it when it's, like, fully spoiled or something, just to see what
the cards I've seen are fine. I think it's had some really, like, bad marketing with whole One Ring bullshit, but
yeah,
they're magic cards.
Yeah,
I guess, you know.
Got
all your favorite characters. Got Bilbo. It has Bill the pony. I was not expecting that Bill to get a fucking card. Like, because no one knows that pony has a name. But it does. It's Bill the pony.
I didn't know Bill the pony, but now at least I know the name.
It's even fucking referred to by name in Peter Jackson. I think it's only like, I believe his name only shows up like once. And he's there, Bill the Pony. He's in Lord of the Rings online. You can go find him.
Look, I just remember that I saw someone comparing stuff that was different between the first movie and the first part of the book, and the idea that I didn't know, it was almost some random barkeeper almost destroyed the world.
Yeah,
you know, because he forgot to, like, send a message.
Yep.
It's like, oh, damn it, wow, that's just so stupid, but I like it.
I also just want to say, everyone who's like, oh, stick to the source material, blah, blah, blah. Hey, the Peter Jackson movies are terrible adaptations and don't stick to the source material, so shut up. Yeah. Can't sprout that and be like, the movies are great, because they're terrible adaptations.
Mm-hmm. Something can be a bad adaptation, but still be...
It's a great story, but it's not Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, not what it is. So, again, take the entire set, because again, it's a set of cards trying to display it with a grain of salt. And yes, if they take some artistic licenses in interesting ways, take those with a grain of salt. You know, it's a thing. Enjoy that they get some great artists to put some things together, and that's the best I can say, you know? And hopefully, you know, you can look over and understand how consistent or inconsistent their art style is. So, just to add on to the end here as something else that's different, I don't know. Okay, I know why they do it, because they do it for the money. But they're going to do, if you all remember the 1978 animated Lord of the Rings with Frodo of the Nine Fingers and the Ring of Doom, what happened to the finger? Where is the Ring of Doom? That's all I remember from that. I remember that song. See. Anyway, they're doing a secret layer for art in that style.
I think that's fine. I mean, I think those movies are ugly, but, you know, to each their own.
Well, the Ralph Bakshi movies are kind of like a thing there. They really are, but, like, again, I'm going to tell you, that was my first exposure to both The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
I actually like The Hobbit, the animated Hobbit.
I think that is the better of the two.
But the actual, like, the animated trilogy is not.
So.
Very ugly.
I'll throw the news for that thing in chat here. That's just so you can see if you are interested in keeping track of that one there. I mean, some people might be, some people might not be. So, all right, let's talk Paizo, because Paizo. Is there a link to what you were talking about for Paizo?
I could try and find it, but I believe it was an interview.
Okay, that's one that I'm just gonna say this here. That's interesting.
I have a Dicebreaker article on it.
Okay. Uh, I
Because so basically, they're just retconning Drow out of Pathfinder lore because it is OGL content, and they don't want to use it anymore. That's the only reason. There's like, this is too much like D&D. We should get rid of it to avoid any future issues cropping up.
I can understand that part of it, but I'm gonna say like always felt like Pathfinder's version of them was so very different.
The problem is that they look the same and they have the same name, so they have to get rid of it.
I mean, you could just change the way they look too, because all it was supposed to be was elves that stayed behind after the Starfall and went underground in order to survive, and then got corrupted by Rogue the Dug.
Changed all the lore, at least in TUI. They will still be compatible with TUI because they already exist in TUI, but in the revised rulebook, they're big. So you can still play them. It's just they're kind of being retconned out.
Okay.
In terms of like what's going to be in the Dark Lands in filling the narrative role as villains, is going to be Serpent Folk, which I feel is fine.
Yeah, that's fine. I guess you could also have Serpent Folk there. That, you know, they rather than, you know, oh, some elves stayed behind and went trip there. The Serpent Folk, some of them stayed on the surface to do their thing. Some of them went underground also.
Basically, kind of what they're doing.
It's fine. I mean, like, again, it doesn't feel like a major... but that's like one of those things that, like, I just always consider them so very different than, like, D&D's.
For legal reasons, they might just want to do it so no more issues crop up.
Yeah, it does make sense, though. Again, legal reasons are probably one of the best reasons for all these things, but certainly. The Abominations Vault Hack and Slash is live on Kickstarter. So that is a thing that happened during this week. So we talked about it a little bit. I guess, there's the page for it proper. That's the announcement that it was live. I'll throw the link to the actual Kickstarter up, even though it's in that place there. It has been fun. It has not been funded yet.
Yeah, it's almost there.
He'll do it. It's going to release on Steam. I mean, it's supposed to be a co-op hack and slash, 4 players. So very like Gauntlet Dark Legacy, I guess.
You play as the Iconics from Pathfinder.
Yeah.
I assume they'll add more eventually, but there's only list 4 currently, the big 4.
Yeah. Barbarian, Ranger, Cleric, Wizard. I mean, again, it's like fine.
I need to see like more gameplay, but I prefer a hack and slash to a complex CRPG.
Like, certainly, hack and slashes have always been a mixed bag for me. Like, if we're talking something closer to like a Diablo, I never really liked Diablo. Too much inventory management.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's sort of like, oh, the next weapon or something. Even Diablos 2 and 3 suffered from a lot of that it was just too much for me. More something similar to like a Hunter the Reckoning for like GameCube / was that Xbox that also came out on? That was pretty fun. Or like, as I was saying, Gauntlet Dark Legacy. I in fact liked that game pretty much when I was playing with friends. It's not a great game, but it was a fun hack and slash when you played with friends. If it's something along that line, great. There's a curiosity definitely to it. I agree that I would kind of want to see more. It's
if it's in the style of like the Diablo, I'll probably be more into it because I do really like at least Diablo 2. I mean, I played some of 3. I don't think I've ever finished 3. I won't play 4.
I think it was with Blaze. I was playing a lot of Diablo. I think 3 that we played with.
3's fine. It just wasn't Diablo 2. It was a little too simplified for my taste.
I only can recall it was the PS3 version, I think, was it? And my good friend used some exploits to get items.
Yeah, I mean,
who
who cares, right?
Yeah, we did not want to farm up.
I
So that's like the thing is like
played so much Diablo 1 and 2. And then I've only played a little bit of 3. But I would prefer a Diablo-style game to a Wrath of the Righteous or Kingmaker.
Again,
I didn't like Kingmaker.
If it's a little bit more simplified version of the Diablo with a lot less of the stupid inventory management I'm not a fan of, I would be...
It's less loot.
Yeah,
and
less
maybe
loot.
Just more beating things up.
Yes! That's my style I like. More beat up, less loot. The loot's neat, but it's too much sometimes with how they do it more towards the modern day nowadays, I feel like. For my tastes. So,
Diablo 2 wasn't too much of like a loot game.
Hmm.
You tend to, I at least remember, you held on to equipment for a little bit longer in that one. But 3, you were swapping out shit like crazy.
So that's when I got into with that, 3. So that's
3 came in the hype, the height of the looter genre, which is just finally now kind of going away.
Other things to mention here is, because I can keep mentioning it, and you can also check it out yourself, if you want to enjoy more legalese, the 3rd draft of the Orc is ready for comment.
Yay!
You know, so...
I'm not going to read it.
No, we talked about it before. I'm just going to keep it as the 3rd draft is out. If you want to check it out yourself, just keep it as simple as that. And then we did get some more information about one of the books coming up, Pathfinder Howl of the Wild, which has 6 new playable ancestries represented in it, which are a very interesting group, which I'll kind of put the link here. It's got a Rooksie, a Minotaur, a Centaur, a Merfolk, an Athamaru, which looks to be some kind of fish or aquatic person, and an awakened animal. Oh, and a Surki.
Badger.
Awakened Badger or a Surki. So they have 7 characters. The only one that was old one was the Rooksie, because that's lizard people.
Yeah.
So they are introducing a bunch of new, definitely more animalistic species, but again, like...
More furries.
Honestly, for a world with as many intelligent things and magical creating intelligence, I wouldn't be so... It feels more logical to have more of that, you know? Gotta be honest. So, I'm fine with that, you know?
I do appreciate that the Merfolk has, like, a chariot.
It's a little bit better than the strong...
I do appreciate that. It's a little bit better than hopping around on the tail.
I do like also that they have like I guess some form of insectile creature too.
Yeah, Bugman.
Cool. Bugman, that's really cool. Definitely neat to see that. And I guess the awakened animal is just an interesting idea that, like, you know, gain sentience, play a different thing. They have a sand badger that they're showing up there. So, a lot of interesting things there. It's some stuff that's coming out, but, you know, we learned about it at PaizoCon online. So,
yeah,
hey,
I didn't watch any of that.
I didn't either. So I waited for them to send out an announcement, and they did. So, got 2 more things to chat about today. We have, it hasn't launched yet, but I've never played this. I'm going to say this here. It's overall, we're getting more Gloomhaven. This is something I've heard good things about without playing. We're getting the 2nd edition of the base game, a miniatures of Gloomhaven, and a Gloomhaven role-playing game.
I played video game on Steam before.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. I mean, supposedly, Gloomhaven is like one of the greatest games ever, is what I keep hearing. I genuinely don't know. I've never played it.
That's one of those things, is I hear so many great things about it, but it's also another one that, like, it's not necessarily the longest sit-down, but it is a longer sit-down, you know? It's like something that you have to kind of sit down and have, like, at least an hour to play kind of thing, from what I've heard. And so, like, that's always made it very difficult for, I have an hour that I can sit down and someone has the game and can play it with me, you know? That situation hasn't really occurred. So, the 2nd edition, of course, is a enhanced version of the original game. They have the role-playing game and the new miniatures line also associated with this, that they're all bringing them back out at later on this month in June. I believe, do we have it in June 20th? Is supposed to be at least when the role-playing game and miniatures line are coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the second edition, which it sounds like they are going to throw a Kickstarter or some kind of crowdfunding campaign for at least one of these. They might all be together. I don't know. But you can. Looks like they're also getting a second edition of Frosthaven, which I've heard about Frosthaven too, which was it was another one of their campaigns in the area. So it looks like they're also mentioning that in the bottom. A second printing, I'm sorry. So if you're getting the second edition of Gloomhaven, you could also get Frosthaven at the same time. And I guess they're going to be printing. So again, if you like the game, great. If you were always interested in this might be an opportunity for you to dive into and keep an eye on it. And I'm actually curious what would make the role-playing game different.
Yeah.
Because they're announcing the second edition of the base game, more miniatures, and then a role-playing game all at the same time. Where's the link to this one? Let me get that.
Gloomhaven is card-based, so it'll definitely be interesting to see how they do that.
Alright. Just to throw something a little different out there, and because, I like a good kind of mystery tabletop puzzle kind of thing, we've got the Medusa report here. It's a I don't know what's going on.
Jesus Christ.
Something small child.
Yeah, that was a small child.
I mean, she's less small now. She's like 10, so... Time flies. Anyway, this is funded. It's a puzzle tabletop adventure about a missing spy who lives physicist in Cold War family secrets. So it's very Cold War. 2 to 3 hours, 1 to 4 players cooperative. I'm curious as to if it's got a lot of replayability, which I can't see whether or not it has there, or if it's like one of those...
That is always the problem with these mystery games, is I can't imagine they're very replayable.
The thing is, I'm not always against the lack of replayability, especially if I do something like a escape room kind of thing. That's going to be a little costly. It's a one-time thing, and I'm going to maybe go with a bunch of friends and do that kind of thing. So I could see getting one of these. It's about $50, so I can see you and 4 friends breaking a copy of it, and then playing it for the amount of same time as you'd have as a time in a escape room, and if it's just as fun, if not more fun, it's worth it. You go see movies in a movie theater, not as much anymore for myself, but I've done it before, and that's a big chunk of money. So I'm not against a one and done, but so the Medusa Report is the second in their trilogy of material that they're doing, but they're both standalone, but they have a kind of ongoing narrative between them, but you can play them separately. So you can do this without doing that, but if you want to get it with the original, the Vandermist dossier, you can get them together as a package deal. So they're probably going to do a third one eventually. So yes, again, I'd have to dive into this and read some more details specifically to see if there's anything that specifically is about replayability and stuff like that. If it's just
It doesn't have to be replayable.
Again, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. I know that tends to be a bonus in a lot of games like this, but it doesn't need to be at all. Certainly, as I was trying to say, if it fills enough experience and you and a bunch of friends get in on it and get the copy of this and have a great time, it'll be good enough. So
it just needs to be entertaining.
Yeah. We don't get a lot of like Cold War kind of mystery stuff or mystery
Really
puzzle.
don't really get it anymore.
Yeah.
We kind of moved past the fascination with the Cold War.
Yeah, I mean, like, less than fascination, I still think, like, it's good to look at different time periods for different materials, because they can inspire us. Like, honestly, if I was going to do some kind of spy-based thing using historical settings, the Cold War would be pretty good for it. But, again, that's pretty much the main thing for the Cold War, is spy stuff.
Yeah, that's like what it's known for.
Yeah, spy stuff, so yeah, so, again, check it out.
Classic James Bond style stuff.
Yep. Check it out if you are interested in that.
Yep.
Alright, so, I did not put this in the docket section, which I should do that in a second. But, okay, I'm going to change one word here. Because I'm just going to delete a word. Because this is an interesting thing that, we kind of went over it in a very simple way, but this is something that is an ongoing narrative issue and is especially bad with Wizards of the Coast, and that's changing lore and ongoing published storylines, where and I'm not just talking about like, oh, we, switched out a little thing here or there, or, I'm talking about like major rewrites sometimes happen. Where, like minor rewrites, it's fine. A lot of times you can pass off time changing. That's something that Pathfinder does with Galarians a little bit. Especially with a lot of their storylines going from 1st edition to 2nd edition. They're like, like 10, 20 years have gone by. There was an event that happened, this years ago. Our world is rapidly changing because of this event kind of thing. So, and a lot of stuff happening in the world because of all these, like, semi-apocalyptic events that happened in the last decade, that were near misses.
Yeah. So, I'll preface with you, I personally don't mind rewrites. As long as they're done well.
Yes.
In terms of what I believe you were speaking of is for Wizards how they handled the rewrite of Drow lore, which they didn't.
No, I think that was
kind of erased it. That was like the biggest one.
Yeah, I agree. That's the one that stood out.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm fine with Drow being changed because they're really bad. Like they're very 60s and 70s.
Yeah. No.
But the way they handled it was like poorly. They just kind of erased it all and didn't address it.
I have to admit, like, I remember that I had seen maybe like mid 2000s to 2010s. I remember I'd seen someone, I can't remember exactly what year it was. I'd seen someone who did a take on, that kind of lore and stuff, and they used some of the essence that was what kind of the original lore was, and they updated it in such a way that it worked really well, and basically a lot of that problematic stuff was nowhere to be seen.
Yeah. But
if you would show that to someone and compare the two, they could probably see that it was like still it was similar enough. Having a matriarchal society was something that they just kept, which is fine. Matriarchal societies are fine. Having like they changed it that it was like they kept like their version of Loth was just underground deity that turned against the surface people. Wasn't evil. There was definitely like bad people and good people and stuff like that. Well, it was a little bit more of like a violent society too, like living in underground with a lot of supplies. So.
Yeah, definitely. Because basically, like, I'm gonna go a little side. The problem with Drow in older D&D is no matter how you read it, it is either gonna be one or the other thing, or both. Either it is a very unfortunate racial stereotype, or it really reads like someone's fetish. Because the leaders are large women with whips who are black. It's very this was clearly written in a different time.
Yeah.
Wizards kind of scrubbed it away. They could have handled it better. They didn't. I think it's best that it's gone, but they could have definitely been handled better.
Again, that's my entire thing too. Is they didn't have to do as much work as I was kind of talking about that someone put in there for their own storyline. But certainly, like, I felt like the way they handled it was so sad. It was like, what? Because it's like, and it wasn't even like sweeping all of it under the carpet too. It was, we changed it severely, but we still mentioned some of the stuff that's there, so you know it's still there, but not there. And it's sort of like, that's like half-assed. Like, just either get rid of it completely or do something about it. Don't go in the middle, because then it just feels like you're being lazy.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, I have experience with kind of, I guess, retconning. Lightning and I's little shared universe. You've been kind of slowly going back through and updating a couple of events to better fit the current narrative. Do you remember the game where you played Marty?
Yes.
A lot of those events have been cleaned up, and a lot of the characters have been changed a little bit to better fit the world. I believe the gnome man that was really bad character, I think he just doesn't exist anymore.
That's for the best.
But everyone else is still there. Viren changed a little bit drastically. They were just always a kitsune now to make it less weird. And they were just playing a joke on the party and went a little too far.
That's fine.
But
there was some weirdness to that.
That game got weird.
Yeah.
That game got really weird. But we've been going back through and just nudging events in certain ways. Not in like major ways, just in like smaller ways to better fit the overall narrative, because in universe, for the last like 60 years, there's been a continuous plot line going on. We have to kind of consolidate stuff around it.
Yeah. So I feel like the idea is that when lore does get out of date, you certainly can change it, but like, it's... I think the thing I'm big on, not that you don't change it, is I always feel like I just go with this, like, maybe like respect, maybe, to the material that came before. You know, not to like shit on the stuff that came before. Like, I can look back and say that there's stuff in 60s D&D and 70s D&D that shouldn't be there.
No, it should not be there anymore, but you need to recognize that was just how it was.
But there can be bits and pieces that are left over in there that I can use to evolve something that doesn't feel like, if you're someone that grew up with that or experienced that a lot more, and certainly it was less recognizable to issues. Like, I recognize stuff from 3.5, which was my real big dive into it, isn't great anymore either.
No, absolutely not.
But it's sort of like, I just want, because that was one of the major games, the major points I ran into when I came into the Forgotten Realms and Greyhawk and stuff. I want a little bit of respect there, at least, for it, that at least it feels like you're evolving the world, and it's just, I don't need it to be the same, I need it to feel close enough, you know? I guess that's the thing that, like, it's kind of like, it actually harkens back a little bit to, like, the Lord of the Rings stuff when we were talking earlier today. I don't care you change stuff. As long as it still feels Lord of the Rings, you can do whatever the hell you want. Just make it feel the same way. And I feel it's the exact same thing for me. Fuck with it all you want. I just want it to feel the same. I want it to have...
For me, I guess an example would be Fallout. How Fallout's currently been handled. Is... Well, I don't like Bethesda's current canon. It still feels like a Fallout universe, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they still have a level of respect for the old lore.
Yeah.
I just don't like the current direction of it, but I will understand that it does kind of have to be changed because they're trying to make their own thing.
Most of what Vampire 5th Edition did for the World of Darkness and Vampire the Masquerade, I like a lot of the stuff and a lot of the ideas they have. I think in certain ways they went things too far and did a little too much, which I don't like as part of the storyline. But I don't mind a large chunk of the storyline, and it feels like lots of it could work. You know, I think they did technically respect it. Like, I think their version of the Second Inquisition went way too far and seems a little too unbelievable, but the idea of something like that existing, where bunch of, like...
cool.
Yeah. Certainly, governmental groups couldn't do as much as they make them do in the World of Darkness version of it, because, honestly, world governments suck and are not really great at things. They prove this a lot.
Yeah.
You know. So, would a bunch of them learning about it be able to do something? Yes. As much as they do in the world that they've set up? No. But, again, that's why I feel like some people could discover it. There's plenty of phones and cameras and all that shit around, so certainly the possibility exists and you could have some kind of organization against them. But I've got to say, like, they joined with, like, the people from the Vatican that had always been against vampires. They were never great at it, also. They've been there for a long time. They already knew about them. They fought against them. Having backing from, like, a weird, shadowy U.S. government type is not going to improve their abilities by much that they already didn't have. I'm just saying that. Just disbelief, to a degree here. Anyway, that's a little tangent that does fit in here a little bit, because, again, this is trying to evolve or change lore in a big way. You know, the mechanics of 5e reflect a lot of the way that they presented the lore that they did there.
Something I find interesting is Cyberpunk has found itself in a situation that is kind of like a reverse retcon, because they have 2020 and 2077, but because they're currently, for the books, working on 2045, they have to be very careful not to mess with both the stuff in the future and the stuff in the past, because there are things in 2077 that are very important to the world that have lore set up, but doesn't technically really exist in detail.
That's a very interesting one too. I think I could say, like, it harkens me back to Shadowrun does a really great job with their lore. Certainly, I'm going to say, early Shadowrun had some things which could definitely be seen in very problematic ways. I feel like from reading through the presentation, they weren't really presenting it in a problematic way. It was more like depictions and some... You know, it's like, you've got an idea, but the idea really needs to be, like, cleaned up a little bit. I'm going to say that there, you know. But again, it was a world where there was, like, you know, hey, our world went to shit when, like, you know, super racism happened. So, super racism happened, they you know, they blamed it all on one group of people. Those people invented magic, or rediscovered magic, and screwed over everybody else because you did all that stuff. So, the lesson is, don't be racist or someone will invent magic and nuke you.
Fair, I guess, you know? Yeah, that's what happened.
I think I did not describe that correctly, but that's not really it. I mean, that could be the lesson for the day.
I'm sure.
But again, like, it's not like stuff like that doesn't sometimes exist in a world, you know? Yeah. And so you have to think about that it's just you want to talk about it in a way that is educational, I guess, or puts it in a matter-of-fact way. So when bad stuff happens in a history or time period, I don't know what's going on.
Screaming.
Yeah. What the hell was I saying?
I don't know.
You're just respectful to, you know, real-life equivalents to these type of things.
I really like that Wizards, when Wizards tried to do Hadose again, they retconned them to be, like, really bad. And they weren't that bad in Spelljammer.
Yeah, no. I really like how when they did that, they're like, oh, it was the old material. And
Was it?
I could pick up the old material, open the book, because I own that stuff, to the section on it, read the section, I'm like, it mentions nothing of what you put in there.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry, but you retconned Hagose into being wizard slaves.
I think it's the also thing that, like, we have an example of a role-playing world and a role-playing game company that does a lot of this, tones that can be very darker, well, aka Paizo and Golarion.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really dark and terrible things that are in Golarion, either in its history or in its modern version even too still. They go about it very well and talk about it very, like, matter of fact, very seriously, and they don't treat you like a kid, but they also don't, like, sugarcoat it or paint it in a great picture. They do a very good job of it. This is a thing. Be confronted with it. Understand that it's there in our setting. And, again, certainly, we've had a lot of stuff in our own world about that sort of thing. It's sort of like, yeah. I feel like that's another reason I don't like when lore is changed to... this is a side tangent, because lore gets changed for a lot of reasons, Mm-hmm. Traditionally nowadays, lore gets basically washed out to prevent insults or from stuff that would be considered problematic, removing it.
Yeah.
That stuff that happened a lot in our own world. Like, and, like, bad depictions are one thing, removing, like, terrible... I feel it's like we just try to sometimes wash out too much stuff in our media when it's the real world sometimes. And we have to understand our own history, that we can allow this in a history of something that is a world that maybe suffered through something similar to our own.
Yeah. I think it certainly depends on what it is, because there's some stuff that is still very painfully recent.
Yeah, it's true. And, it also depends on how it is handled. You can handle some things very poorly, and then it is more insulting, especially to the real-world connections than not. It's one of the reasons I dislike what Wizards does, but I understand it. They basically are going for the, we don't have to worry about anything because we're not talking about anything attitude.
They're going for the attempt to please everyone realm, which is it's standard corporate thing. Every company does it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's very hit or miss.
I'm going to say, most of the times it doesn't work for Wizards.
No. Well, for Wizards, it usually doesn't.
They really have to...
You can't... If you try to please everyone, you please no one.
Yeah. That's the thing is. And, again, you don't have to please everybody, but, just... I feel like the head in the sand is just not maturity sometimes.
No.
So... Yeah. You're going to encounter this kind of thing in a lot of times as editions of a role-playing game or something exist as time goes on and storylines between the various medias of it exist.
Yeah.
It's just and certainly, like, there could be official storyline stuff that happens that is retconned anyway because issues. Like, take a look at the way Magic displayed a lot of stuff over the years. Mm-hmm. They had, like, comics and books that, like, told their storylines and added to them. Retconned a bunch of that stuff, actually.
Yeah. A lot of stuff's gone.
But again, like, a lot of that was also weird and complex. And
or, like, Star Wars, right? That's, like, the biggest example of the biggest retcon in existence.
Yep. Getting rid of all the expanded material.
That's another debate that I have opinions on, but this is not a Star Wars podcast.
It's...
I listened to enough of those.
I did hear about one that's talking about that old canon stuff,
Oh, yeah, the old canon book club. It's fine. One person goes a little too hard, I think. It makes it a little unenjoyable at times.
Look, I'll stick to my sometimes supernatural, sometimes true crime podcast.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the better one. I feel.
Yeah. I can learn about awful people and or weird
listen to a fucking four episodes of about a fucking stone that goes nowhere, where nothing fucking happens. Third episode is even about the goddamn stone.
I was really entertained by all that.
God, I was so angry, dude.
I just didn't get angry. I just was like, this is so trolly. God. See, I don't trust that man. Like, you know.
I was so fucking mad.
I mean, at least the third one tied in with it.
The third one was genuinely great, and it just should have been its own thing.
It should have. And then it links into their later on.
I was just intently listening, like, this is a really good alien abduction story. What did you just mention?
It connects with the mystical stone adventure because these alien abduction people become important to your stone adventure.
Oh my God.
It's like, what?
Dude, that's fucking D&D adventure.
That could really be a D&D adventure. It's just 4 parts of insanity. That just makes you mad. Anyway. We should talk about what happened this week.
We technically did week things.
We did week things. Did you do anything on Sunday last week?
I did. We moved our space game to Sunday because that day freed up and it's better for the DM. We did some investigating and we stole a satellite. The satellite turned out to be a psionic jump gate, which is bad. And we killed a bunch of robots who are way too sassy for their own good.
And the robots run by me?
Now we're gonna go kill their leader, or capture, I guess. We're not supposed to kill them. We're the good guys, or something.
Technically the good guys?
It's a very meme game. Yeah, Lightning failed every check except for one. It was very bad. The game is fine. It's very meme, and it sounds like it's going to be a long-term game, so I hope the meme stops a little bit. I mean, it's a game where Cell is playing a literal raccoon.
Yeah, I heard about that, and it's just as soon as I hear that,
there's a rabbit person, and Lightning and I made normal-ass characters.
Raccoon. Anyway,
too much times.
Did you do anything on Monday?
I did not do anything Monday.
I guess your Tuesday's free now, technically?
Tuesday is technically free.
If you missed what I talked about stuff, I did some tabletop talking on... I'll try to just interject this rather than at the end, you know, now. I talked about Star Trek, The Adventures.
Star Trek.
It ended up being like 2 hours, and I really should have split it in half, but I didn't realize that when I started talking first about, you know, like, this is kind of what Starfleet and the Federation are, and then I talked about the basic rules, it would take 2 hours.
Fair.
You know, those really should have been 2 different episodes, technically. But, yeah. So, that was an interesting thing to talk about. Wednesday, you had Pirate Adventures.
We did have Pirate Adventures.
I threw some curveballs at you.
They met a very sassy man.
He's technically not sassy, but it was really hard to display his, like... actual contempt for you with trying to hide it through civility. That was what I was trying to go for, but ended up just being sass.
Very sassy.
Look, I'm not great at the, like, hiding contempt beneath pleasantries. Because I'm either just pleasant or contemptuous, normally.
Yeah.
It's not my skill. And then, you know, the Queen's showing up with a major member of the Inquisition, and, you know...
all of this is fine.
2 of you are in the Hell Knight headquarters, the other 3 are mooching off of your character's brother.
That one will be very interesting, because that can very easily end with both of us dying.
I'm fairly certain the 3 in your brother's bedroom can end up dead, too. They're the incompetent ones.
They are the dumb ones.
I mean, Joe's there, but Joe's like, I don't really know what's going on. I'll try to help out.
I had planned for being there with them, but I wasn't there. So I'm busy.
It was so much funnier that way, too. So, yes. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Did you do anything on Thursday?
I had session 1 of my new game on Thursday.
Ooh.
I'm running another game. It's got Lightning Lynn, Jay, Cell, and Eric will be joining us next week.
Mm.
We figured out why he missed the for Wednesdays. Somehow his entire Discord was muted. And he doesn't know how it happened. But somehow, at some point between Old Home and New Home, Discord became entirely muted. So nothing was getting through. No messages or anything.
Wow.
Yeah, it's real weird. I don't understand it, but Discord is bad sometimes. So it happens, right?
Yeah.
It's been fixed at least.
That's good. Advantage.
But the party, it's a bunch of weirdos. Basically, we're told, hey, you need to go and help out this really powerful person who's requested assistance. So they went and did that. Lightning is a gremlin character, which I appreciate. Don't often see Lightning play a silly character.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a very nice, very good character, I think. It's the right amount of silly. They are a raccoon person.
Another raccoon?
Another raccoon person. This one's a fae, so it's different.
Gotcha.
This one makes more sense.
This one's just a fae instead of just
It's just a fae instead of an actual raccoon that gains sentience.
One's better than the other.
Yeah.
Alright.
There's a dwarf, there's Nazimar, and Lynn is one of the custom races, which is a tall rabbit person.
Yeah.
And they went off to go and help this very powerful mage, who is my old character. Because every old character in those games turns out actually ended up mattering to the world a lot.
Happens.
Because they're among some of the most powerful people on the planet. It's a fairly low-level world.
I just imagine Badger.
Badger is genuinely one of the most powerful, martial people on that planet. That's not a joke. He's level 10. The highest level person is 12.
He's a great hero of his people.
Badger canonically still exists. He's shown up in 2 games. I will reference him in my current game.
I really enjoy it. I really do enjoy that. Oh, I'm just so happy that I need something that can be played so seriously, but just has this level of
Yeah.
But
it's got some absurdity to it.
I guess that's history a lot of times too. There's just something sometimes absurd about certain people in history that you're like,
you're literally a folk hero.
Yeah, it fits so well. I'm just literally a folk hero. Anyway,
so they're gonna go break into a warehouse to investigate a potential cult.
Cool. Earlier on Thursday, if you'd missed it for me, I talked about Alkenstar and Galarian, which was a fun one because I honestly learned a few things about that place, and it was fun to be able to say it's more than just guns. It's also crime and technology.
Oh, crime.
Yeah. I mean, half the city is run by, crime lords of Alkenstar City.
Sometimes.
I mean, when it's basically a very big city of, half our city lives in, the factories and smokestacks. The other half is, in, a city, in skyline kind of thing with, giant steamwork constructs protecting us, so that the lower people can't do shit about it. Also, it's a refugee for anybody that's done any kind of magic crime in the world. Just saying. Interesting. And then, did you do anything on Friday?
No, I did not do anything on Friday. I technically went to work on Friday.
And then this morning, if you missed it, I talked about the Camarilla for Vampire. I've revisited the world of Vampire the Masquerade, and I'm talking about, the various major organizations. Now I've talked about all the bloodlines and clans and stuff like that. I thought about doing an updated one for because some of them I talked about before 5e, but I'm honest, I don't. It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. I watched those videos. A lot of work did go into those.
I just don't know where they changed. Maybe that might be a week for I'll just come up with a list of here's updates on a bunch of bloodlines and clans from 5th edition lore. Enjoy. Maybe, I don't know. That sounds like our week in tabletop. Is there anything else I do on these things? I don't think so. Can't remember anything. Thanks for joining, Momo.
Yeah.
If you're looking for my schedule next week, I already know the basic schedule. On Monday, I'll be playing some more Spelunky 2. On Tuesday, I'm going to be going over Bessem 4th edition character creation, because I talked about 3rd edition on the channel in the old days. I'm just doing an update for the 4th edition. Wednesday, I'm going to do the Adventures of Link randomizer. So I'm diving into the second Zelda game for a randomizer.
Oh, Zelda. I've never played Zelda.
I did, and I owned it. I think I did always worse than the first Zelda.
That's the one with the side-scrolling bits.
Yes, the side-scrolling bits. It's got a very interesting randomizer. I've seen stuff on it.
I want to say, I like that I have never played Zelda 2. I've actually never played most Zelda games, but I have played the Zelda CDI games.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have to say, I haven't played Zelda 2 in a long time, so I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to remember anything.
Wand of Gamelon was actually my first introduction to Zelda.
So,
it was a thing.
Having access to that system is a thing, too, apparently.
Yeah, my grandparents had a CDI.
Jeez.
Of all things, a CDI.
But that'll be Wednesday, which will have Buccaneers at 9 p.m. EST, so make sure to check that out. Thursday is going to be Starfinder character creation. I'm doing my first thing with Starfinder. I'm going to have to refresh myself on that one, because I haven't done Starfinder character creation in, like, a couple of years now. So that's the one I'm going to have to refresh. But I have done it before, so I'm not going to be completely in the dark. Friday will be more Spelunky 2, if I haven't beaten the game at least. I might re-roll it if I actually beat the base game during Monday. Maybe I will. I got closer to this one last time I played. And then I'm going to go over the basic mage traditions on Saturday. And then next week, 6 p.m. EST, discussing tabletop, where perhaps Momo, perhaps some other people will join me for some more tabletop discussion.
You will have to hear my opinions.
Yep.
Sorry. I'm always correct.
Yep. I'm barely ever correct.
No, you're never correct. You just say words.
I say words and stuff. Look, I preference every time...
You open your mouth and noises come out.
I preference a lot of these lore-based videos now with I'm going to mispronounce everything.
Yeah. I mean, we found out we've just been saying Cheliak's wrong for a year and a half, so...
The thing is, it's like, I think I corrected myself, like, briefly at one point in time, because I'm like, there's an A in there. But I just never actually did it with my words, you know, for how long I've, like, talked about that nation. But, so, thank you again, Momo. I see you on, if you're looking for Momo, they'll be at least joining on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'll be your pirating where I have to babysit.
I mean, at least the person you're babysitting right now is like, he means the best, he just doesn't know anything.
He's a little stupid.
He's a little stupid, you know. But, you know, he'll listen to you if you tell him things.
Yeah.
Like, two of the people who are stupid and sometimes don't listen.
No, they just don't listen to anyone.
I mean, they'll, like... sometimes it'll get through to their skull, which is nice, but it's not always. Which is bad. And then, you caught the end, Worm. Look at that. At least you were here for it. I mean, you know, I were a little late because I lost track of a little bit of time eating food. I was snacking, and then I'm like, oh, crap, I have to get ready for this show.
Well, shit, I got a podcast.
It's like I'm just sitting here eating. No. Anyway, yep, that's a schedule. I hope everybody has a great day. Remember, stuff gets uploaded to YouTube from if you missed it here on Twitch. If you are watching this on YouTube, checking me out on Twitch when I'm live. Discord and Twitter are places to check out my occasional brain farts on a very least schedule, and when I'm doing stuff. And then, yeah, that's about it. And remember things like follow on Twitch at least, subscribe on YouTube, like comments, say stuff here, you know, other ways to support, etc., etc. Remember to do them. And I think that's about it. So I'm going to say, I remember my spiels. Farewell, everybody. Goodbye. I usually remember most of my spiels.